Okay, we are on. Hi, everyone. My name is Meryl Hayton, and I'm a transformational coach. And here I have with me Mary Ellen Zung.
Hello. Good to be with you, Meryl.
Yeah, great to have you. So we're going to be doing a little interview together, and I just wanted to read just a little blurb about Mary Ellen. So Mary Ellen Zung, she's a holistic health coach, and she's a supportive mentor and wellness authority, helping clients feel their best through good nutrition and lifestyle. She works with individual clients as well as conducts seasonal group cleanses and teaches a diabetes prevention program. Welcome, Mary Ellen. Great
Yes.
to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to be
Yeah.
here.
So tell me how you became a health coach and what your backstory is.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, it's my entire life really, led me to this place where I can help people get rid of pain and feel great and live healthier, happier lives. That's really my passion at this point. Um, and just like everybody's health story, it started when I was a baby. I know we don't have much time to go all through the years, but it really did. I mean, my mom later in life, in my 40s, when I was really suffering from a lot of digestive issues, my mom said, when you were a baby, your pediatrician told me that you might have a touch of celiac. I was like, a touch, yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
kind. But
interesting.
yeah, I mean, everybody's health stories really start before we're born, right? Our parents and our grandparents' lives play a big part in our
Hmm.
own health. We don't think about that, but it's a lot of our health is passed down from our ancestors too.
I do a little bit of work with my own coach, and she talks a lot about generational healing. So same thing.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. It
Hmm.
really is important to think about that and delve into and ask your parents, ask your grandparents, what life was like when they were younger. It's what they ate, and yeah, it's just amazing. Anyway, that is a story for another day, right? So yeah, I mean, when I was 16, I went to my first Weight Watcher meeting. I always thought that I was heavier than most girls my age and I wanted to lose weight. My mom was going, so I went with her. And that sort of started my consistent dieting from high school through my 40s. When I was 17, I worked in a really nice restaurant kitchen. I worked in the kitchen, which was cool,
Hmm.
and learned a lot about cooking good whole foods. But I got eczema on my hands, and I think that was from all the acidic meats and cheeses that I was working with. And I later learned that eczema is also an autoimmune condition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and then in my sophomore year of college, I got mono and Epstein-Barr, also autoimmune.
Yeah.
And then, in my 30s, after having my son, I was commuting like 3 hours a day into the city for like the first 5 years of his life and staying up late. He was the first one in the childcare center at 7 in the morning, and then jumping onto the train at 7:14. And then one morning, after leaving him, I actually got off the train into the city and called my boss and said, I have to make a change. I finally quit that stress and ironically started working for Weight Watchers. And, during
Wow.
this time, I was eating diet food and low points, whole grain bread and low fat yogurt, all the things that they say are good, good for you kind of foods. And it was continuing to hurt my body,
Right.
aspartame and chemicals in the processed food. So I had so much pain and I just hurt all the time. And actually, after I quit my job, when I started to slow down, I felt even worse because it was like all that adrenaline was keeping me going. And then my body was like, here's what's going on now. Like
Hmm.
now it could almost tell me what was going on. And I was also um, diagnosed with RA, rheumatoid arthritis, which is another autoimmune disease, and
Right.
two herniated discs. And then I started using Advil and ibuprofen, which are, NSAIDs. They're non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which again is the wrong thing to do. We know that studies show that that's bad for your stomach and your liver and your kidneys and can cause high blood pressure and stroke. And then I got shingles
Wow.
in my 40s because of stress. It was 2008 crash. And of course, my husband worked for AIG, which was like you couldn't even talk about AIG, the too big to fail and all that.
Right.
So I was like hiding from the world in my own stress. And it was like I knew there was so much more I needed to learn about my health. It wasn't just about what you eat and, exercise. So during that time, I was still working for Weight Watchers. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and became a certified health coach. And, through that process, I learned a lot about my relationship with food, and I healed my pain and my gut issues using a whole food diet, no processed food. Stress management was a big part of it, and just being true to myself with journaling helped a lot. That's, still one of my tools in my toolkit. And also like how to eat intuitively rather than listening, just really listening to what my body's telling me and what I need, and even like a balance. So the yin and the yang of it. So that was quite an education. So
Mhm.
that's what brought me to where I am now. And every day I eat whole food and move my body and meditate and do yoga. I go to your yoga classes too. And I feel positive every day. I feel like I'm true to myself. And if something doesn't sit right, I think about it and I decide on action. If I need to have a conversation or whatever. So, I've also learned how to live more in love and less in fear.
Mhm.
And I grew up. So it was a long story.
No,
But
no, no, not at all.
yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you.
yeah, so in my health coaching school, I studied over 100 different dietary theories, and nutrition science continues to change. It's as I said, it's not just the food we put in our mouth, but how we think about our choices and moving our bodies and getting good sleep and managing our thoughts. And like we were saying, the food we eat has a story. It's usually what we grew up on and what's available and what fits into our busy lives. So it's complicated. What
It
we
is.
eat is very complicated.
Yeah.
So, and people are lost. Like people really are not really sure
Hmm.
how to go about making the food decisions. And we have so much available to us now, right? Food is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
So,
That's great. I have a similar story. I mean, I'm not a health coach, but I have a
yeah.
similar story, so I can totally relate. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, the big question is, there's so many diets and patterns of eating. Um, we know about the USDA guidelines for Americans, which advises us on what to eat. And every 5 years, those guidelines are updated. So the 2015, 2020, or now the 2020 is going to come out soon. I got a little preview of it. There's a couple of changes. Like one of the biggest changes is that sugar has been reduced by half again,
oh
which
wow.
is, and that's an easy one for everybody to agree on,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
There's been so much proof about sugar and diabetes and obesity, and there's some other small changes in there too. But it's a huge task to try to give millions of people guidelines about what to eat. And we know what works for one person is not necessarily right for the next person. So I always take that approach of bio individuality, looking at the individual person.
Hmm.
um, and we know that the guidelines don't go far enough due to the strong lobbying and with the meat and dairy industries, but also from the corn and the soy industries that supply the ingredients for all the processed foods that we're eating, packaged cheap foods. We shouldn't even be calling it food. It's like chemicals in a box or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some broad guidelines that you can look up in the USDA guidelines for Americans about like following a health. It's very, very vague though, like following, and it's not controversial, right? So it's like following a healthy eating pattern across the lifespan. It's you know, all food and beverage choices matter. I'm just thinking about, I just had some notes here about like
Mm-hmm.
exactly what they say in the guidelines. It's very vague. It doesn't really help. But the one good thing they did last time is they created the My Plate instead of the pyramid, you know, so they have the My Plate. Michelle Obama was instrumental in developing that with the USDA. And it's a graphic, so you can really see like what you should be eating and the portion sizes and the balance of it. But still, you know, we continue to eat the standard American diet, which its acronym is SAD, right? Standard American Diet.
Oh, I never heard that.
The SAD diet, right?
That's
Standard
right.
American diet. Too many processed foods. I mean, you see it in the
Right.
grocery stores, right? Chemicals and, you know, bad carbs and
Right.
sugar and fat and all that kind of stuff. So,
So what is on this plate?
yeah.
What is the breakdown of it?
Yeah, the My Plate, you know, they talk about consuming a healthy eating pattern that accounts for all foods and beverages within appropriate calorie level. The plate actually is half your plate is fruits and vegetables, and then the other half is, or a quarter is some kind of carbohydrate like a whole grain or rice or a potato, and then the other quarter is protein.
Mm-hmm.
So most people's plates are, you know, this is how we grew up, like a big piece of chicken or steak, you know, and that's taking over the plate with maybe a starchy veggie or, you know, a carb or something like that.
Yeah.
So the plate really helps people, but Americans do not get the required amounts of fruits and vegetables. I mean, they're not
Mhm.
putting half their plate fruits and vegetables. So that is a big thing, and I always try to teach my clients to do that. They also talk about, and then the plate also has a little circle with a glass of milk to get your dairy.
Oh.
So yeah, because the, you know, the dairy lobby is maybe even stronger than the meat lobby. I don't know. They're
Mhm.
neck and neck. Depends what year it is, I guess. So yeah, so they talk about having fruits, especially whole fruits, right? Dried fruits and whole fruits are not the same.
Mhm.
Grains they talk about, at least half of which are whole grains. So that's, you know, I I do things a little bit differently there with grains. They do promote, you know, fat-free or low-fat dairy,
Right.
and oils, but they don't really talk too much. They don't talk too much about what kind of oils. So, you know, they do address saturated fats and trans fats and added sugars, and they talk about calories and sodium and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
a good snippet about what
The
that is.
USDA, what the government says.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what the government says.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so obviously that's not enough. Like you were saying, I mean, that's not a diet that I follow.
Nor do
You know, I
I.
mean, my thing, I try to eat, 80% really, really good and clean and unprocessed and stuff. And then the 20% I'm, splurging here and there, or I like to go
Mm-hmm.
out to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and have a drink and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where my 20% comes in. But I still, try to make those healthier choices,
Yeah,
right?
that's great. I think by doing that, you're way ahead of most Americans with the standard American diet, the
Yeah.
SAD.
I mean, and I
Yeah,
do love to cook, which I think is an advantage. If you don't like to cook, I think
right.
that's when it's easy to grab
Yeah,
all the frozen and the processed and stuff.
right. And that's another thing that I teach my clients is, you know, how to, because everybody's busy, right? And
Yeah.
you might be feeding a big family, or a small family or other people, you know, other people too. But having it prepped, you know, so really doing a meal plan, a simple meal plan, like maybe plan 3 dinners for the week. And then you can have like leftovers for lunch, or you can put leftovers on leafy greens for lunch, or You can throw the leftovers at the end of the week into a soup.
Yeah.
So there's ways around it. Like if you're prepped, if you've got like, some brown rice made, or you've got some beans made, or on a Sunday you grill up a bunch of chicken breasts and you use those throughout the week in different things.
Mhm.
It can be, cook once and eat many times.
Yeah.
So
That's what I do. I've been
yeah,
doing that ever since I moved out living with my parents.
that's awesome.
Sunday or Monday, I cook for the entire week, and it's easy to pick. I mean, and when I did go to my salon or an office, when I, was in the workforce that way, I brought all of my food, all of my snacks, portioned it out.
Yeah,
It was just made it easier. I didn't want to spend
absolutely.
also on eating out, and I was never happy. If I
Right.
would order takeout, I was never happy.
And
And
the
putting,
portion sizes
yeah.
are like triple what you should be eating. And there's so many bad oils and added sodium.
Hmm.
That's not the way to eat. Like you said, 80/20. Like you want to go out to dinner on a weekend, or, order in one night or something like that. But, there's better choices too on the menu. So maybe we should talk a little bit more about that. um, you know, I have, at one point somebody asked me, what are three foods? If you could pick three foods to completely avoid,
Oh,
I just couldn't come up with just three,
yeah.
so I have sort of three buckets of things.
Okay.
And I know you won't be surprised. First it's, heavily processed foods with
Hmm.
added sugar or artificial sweeteners, even
Right.
chemicals, certainly pesticides. So we know that these processed foods with these kind of ingredients have been linked to, headaches or anxiety, depression, dementia, skin rashes, all kinds of bad stuff that we don't know is really linked to food. So much of what goes on in our brain is linked to
Right.
our gut
So
and our nutrition.
if someone's reading a label on something and it doesn't really say that it has sugar in it, or it doesn't really say that it has um, like GMO, genetically modified organisms, is that,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but it has other things like natural flavorings, I know is one thing. Like, what do you think that that means?
Yeah, there's no regulation for natural flavorings. So we don't know what natural flavorings is. It doesn't mean that it was grown. It doesn't mean it's a plant or that it was grown in nature. It could be a chemical.
Right.
So, you were talking about, added sugar. Now the nutrition fact labels were just updated this past year, 2020, July, I think. And you'll see it. It now says added sugar. It says total sugar and added sugar. So the total sugar, it can be natural sugar, like tomato sauce. It's going to have a few grams of
Yeah.
sugar because tomatoes have fructose as
Mhm.
part of, the way they grow.
Right.
Um, but added sugar would be like if they added like some, even like an organic jar of tomato sauce. You see the cover, the front, and it says organic, non-GMO, and you look at the label and everything's organic, but it could be organic cane sugar was
Right.
added. So that's added sugar. And
Right.
you'll see that on the ingredient label and on the nutrition fact label as well. And there are 60 different words, 60 different names for sugar.
60?
So yeah. So,
Wow.
a lot of them end in ose, like sucrose,
Yeah. I saw something the other day that was, I want to call it maltose. Is that?
maltose. Yeah, it's all sugar.
Yeah. I figured it was.
Yeah, I mean, even, you see maple syrup or molasses or, agave or all these like honey, natural sugars,
Mhm.
it still does the same thing in your body as, you know, processed sugar. So we really have to just watch that too. I mean,
So,
I have maple syrup in my fridge,
right.
sometimes I'll add it to a dressing or, you know,
Yeah.
something just to give it that little bit of sweetness. But I try to use like cooked fruit to give things sweetness.
Okay.
And you would be surprised. Well, once you start reducing the amount of sugar, you everything tastes very sweet, and you don't need as much sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, oh, I just had a question that
Oh,
came up.
sorry, I got you
No, no,
distracted.
no, that's okay. It was, we were talking about sugar.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about sugar and, the processed foods as like one of the big things to avoid. Another thing would be anything with vegetable oil. So a
Okay, yeah.
bromated vegetable oil is used to keep flavor oils in soft drinks in suspension. So that's why the soft drinks don't separate. I mean, that's another big thing. Soda, we want to avoid that too.
I, that
Um,
that was the first thing that came to my mind.
yeah,
So the first thing
soda.
for me to avoid would be soda.
Yeah,
But,
definitely avoid soda because it's basically, sugar water, and it's carbonated too, which is not good for our bones.
mhm.
And, you even want to avoid um, the diet sodas as well, because studies have shown that, um, increased insulin and blood glucose levels are found also with the artificial sweeteners, just with sugar. Your body thinks it's sugar. It reacts the same way. It's like insulin confusion.
Oh,
So, we need to be getting our calories. People think, oh, it's just a diet soda, it has no calories, but it's got all kinds of badness in it.
right.
Sugar, the carbonation, and it's, just because it doesn't have calories doesn't mean it's a health food or a
Right.
diet food or something like
Yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
remember my comment or question was the difference between fructose and glucose. So
Mm-hmm.
it was my understanding that fructose is the natural from fruit and it processes better and it's better for you in your body,
Yeah.
right? And then there's certain sugars, like you mentioned before, agave,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's low on the glycemic level, which is good for
Mm-hmm.
people that have diabetes, but
Mm-hmm.
yet it's a glucose or a fructose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
It's
remember.
both. It's
It's
a
both.
glucose fructose molecule together, I believe. I'd have to look it up again, but I
Oh,
think
okay.
it's both together, and that's what I mean. That's the definition of sugar is the glucose and the fructose together. So we get
Oh,
the fructose from the natural fruits. That's the fructose in the fruits. Make sense?
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So yeah, we want to really look at those oils. They've actually, some of them have led to like reproductive issues and birth defects, and it's actually banned in over 100 countries, but not in the U.S. So we got to watch that. Those are things like they're like food additives, like BHA and BHT. Um, they prevent oils from going rancid. So that's like crackers, cookies, baked goods, like all that stuff on the shelf. Um, and actually, the US Department of Health deemed BHA a human carcinogen. But it takes a lot of time and lawyers to get these additives that are banned out of our food system. So, we shouldn't be grabbing those at all. Or look at the labels. Yeah.
Mm,
And then pesticides, of course, you can always look at the environmental working group's Dirty Dozen or the Clean 15 lists, and those are updated every year. So when you're worried about pesticides, you want to know which fruits and vegetables you should buy organic, and that'll help you because like strawberries have over 20 different things sprayed on it, pesticides and chemicals, just to keep the pests away, to grow those beautiful red strawberries that we want to eat, but we don't want to eat them with all those pesticides on them.
oh, great. I had them
Yeah.
too.
um, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we talked about sugar, but Americans consume up to a half a cup of added sugar per day, and
Yeah.
people don't even realize it. Even if you're not putting sugar in your coffee or something, you're getting it from the foods or from the soda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, candy, that kind of stuff, food oil, bad oils, food dyes, chemical flavorings. That's all with the candy. And that's obviously, sugar causes obesity and tooth decay and hyperactivity. in
Right.
children. We can totally see that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh,
remember those
I
long
do. I
Go-Gurts,
do.
the blue Go-Gurts that I used to give to my son when he was
Oh,
little. I had no idea. It wasn't even in my consciousness to like think about
right.
things like this.
Right.
But I've learned over time what kind of reactions they have to our body, to our long-term health.
Yeah.
Of course, trans fats, which have been banned, but they're still in, like, you can have a half a gram per serving of trans fats and it's still legal, even though they've been banned. So things like refrigerated dough, like pop up biscuits, cookies, cakes, frozen pies, frozen pizza, fast food, biscuits, cinnamon rolls, ready to use frostings, microwave popcorn. Um,
Oh, wow.
so yeah, trans fats and all of that. And the microwave popcorn, I mean, that's a whole other discussion, but that also
Mhm.
has the PUFAs, the chemicals to help the popcorn from not sticking to the bag. So
Oh, wow.
if you love popcorn, just do it the old fashioned way, right?
I do it the old fashioned way. I don't even have a microwave.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah. Another health coach friend of mine got me out of using my microwave.
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah. I haven't used one since I left the salon. So that's 2 years ago.
nice. Yeah, we don't really need it. We didn't need it back in the day. We don't need it now.
Nope.
Just
I
heat stuff up in a pot.
haven't
Yeah,
missed it. Yeah.
yeah. Um, we do so many things for convenience. It's, and it can feel normal because everybody has a microwave, right? But to go against the grain takes a little education.
Yeah.
So, um, partially hydrogenated oils, we definitely want to avoid as well. They're associated with heart disease and breast and colon cancer, elevated cholesterol. Those are a type of trans fat that's the partially hydrogenated oils are created through processing, and it helps increase the shelf life again of processed food.
Hmm.
So, and then one last thing to avoid, we touched on it a little bit, and it's pretty controversial, but cow's milk. It's with everything that I've read and studied, we want to avoid or limit dairy products. There's no need for us to drink milk. Like, we're the only species that drinks someone else's milk. Um, and it can be inflammatory, and it's actually one of the top allergens for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It can cause a lot of mucus, a lot of digestive issues, a lot of
Yep.
absorption issues too. It can negate certain vitamins in your body. So, and
Hmm.
personally, when I did an elimination diet, dairy really stood out as a harmful substance for me. So,
Oh, yeah.
we don't always know. Yeah. And people think, oh, well, it's on the USDA, it's required. We need 3 cups of milk a day for women over 50. And, I need my calcium. What about my bones? What about osteoporosis and osteoarthritis? And we can get plenty of calcium if we're eating lots of leafy green vegetables,
Right.
and even like some of the plant milks, nuts and seeds have
Hmm.
calcium. And, you
Yeah.
know, the bones of fish.
Yeah. I gave up dairy years ago, and I suffered my whole life with really bad allergies, and did
Wow.
not
I didn't
take.
know. Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't get rid of the dairy because of allergies. I got rid of the dairy because it bothered my stomach. And then over time, I realized that my allergies got better and better. And like, I hardly have them anymore,
Right.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I figured it out that
There's
it
a
was
big
dairy.
connection.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
I can now, if I splurge and have like some cheese or something, in my salad or whatever it is,
I
um,
feel it.
the next day I will wake up a little bit congested. Definitely.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I know my son just went to college and he left a little bit of his yogurt because he loves to put yogurt in smoothies. And I was like, let me taste
Mhm.
this one. It was Siggy's or something. I never tasted that one because I haven't had dairy in years. I was like, oh, let me taste it. And then the next 2 days, I
Yeah.
I had something in my throat. I
Mhm.
was like stuffy. Yeah, I was like, wow, I really, every once in a while you test it and you're like, nope,
Mhm.
can't do it.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah,
Exactly.
so those are the big things that I would avoid.
Hmm. Wow, that was a lot.
That's a lot.
So what's left? What can we eat?
Oh, I hear that all the time. So what's left if I can't eat that? What am I going to eat? Oh, wow. So, yeah, there's lots you can eat. You want to eat with whole, you want to eat whole food, right? If it's packaged, you want to read the label and understand what's inside, and you want to go for items that are, that you know what it is, right? I mean, some people say, oh, less than 5 ingredients. That's a good way to start,
Mhm.
less than 5 ingredients. That's not always the case, but it's like a good little helper, a good little tip for people that are just starting out trying to change their diet. Obviously, if you can't pronounce it, don't buy it. It's not a
Yeah.
whole food. um, so we talked a little about the nutrition fact labels. That's really important. And I I try to teach my clients to try to eat with the seasons and understand, like, if you're eating with the seasons and you're going to the farmer's market and eating locally, you're doing a lot of good things for the earth, and you're doing a lot of good things for naturally what your body is craving during those seasons. So I mean, that's another thing that's a really awesome positive, to have that connection with food. It gives you a lot more mindfulness about what you're eating too. So you
Yeah.
want to eat mostly plants. That's where the vitamins and minerals and the powerful phytonutrients and antioxidants that fight free radicals.
Hmm.
And plants are also low in carbs and calories, and they're important for weight control and preventing certain diseases. And they're high in fiber, which helps us with satisfaction and also helps remove all kinds of toxins from our bodies too.
Right.
Um, I just
Anyone who
recently, yeah.
anyone who knows me knows that kale was pretty much my favorite food.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
pretty
put it
much
in
having
every
that almost every day. Yeah.
I put it in every I snack on it. I make kale chips. It's in my if I want to make like a fruit bowl or something, like it's blended in with the fruit, if I'm making a
That's
shake, it's in the
awesome.
shake. I mean, yeah. I'm
It's
putting
one
kale.
of it's the top most nutritious food that you can eat. Most nutritious, um,
I use it
plant
as
plant that you can eat.
I'll use it as a taco shell.
Nice. I
Uh,
love that. Yeah, I'll do that
um,
with collard greens too. Like, I'll just
yeah, like
like
put it
steam
in.
it a little bit so you can roll it up.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So, yeah, so along with the plants, right? People say, "Oh, but what about fruits? Aren't
Hmm.
they high in sugar? Aren't they high in carbs?" Um, they're not high in it, but they do have sugar and carbs. Well, sugar is a carb. Um, but you want to eat whole fruits. Maybe 1.5, 2, 3 portions a day. Not really more than that if you're watching your carbs and your sugars. But I try not to, like, people don't worry about bananas. Don't worry about fruits. It's got so many benefits, because a fruit has the water, the hydration, the fiber, also those important antioxidants. And that fiber helps to fill you up. So, you want to just maybe even like pair it with a protein or a fat to slow down any possible insulin spike. Like if you're having an apple, maybe like slice up a half and like dip it in a little almond butter or something. Um,
I love
so
that. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So that'll just keep that blood sugar nice and even. So plants, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, not whole grain flours like you'd find in bread, like not whole wheat bread, because that, of course, has sugar in it also, but like the real whole grain, so like oats or teff or brown rice or black rice or buckwheat. Millet is good for breakfast, or quinoa, which is actually a seed, but we sort of feels like a grain, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I also tell people to avoid gluten. Just, you know, if you're if you want to eat wheat, if you're not gluten sensitive, and then just even occasionally, the wheat, because it's shown that gluten damages the gut. even in people that aren't, you know, sensitive or have celiac. So it's also inflammatory. So
Yeah.
go easy on the wheat. And then lean animal proteins. So, you know, think of proteins as a condiment, not like those big steaks or big chickens that we used to have growing up. It's like just a little sprinkling, right? Remember the USDA plate with half your plate vegetables and fruits,
Right.
a quarter of protein. So you only really need like 3 to 4 ounces of you know, that animal protein. And when you choose meats, you know, don't do the conventional, you know, the animals get hormones and antibiotics and they're stressed and they're generally eating corn and soy, and some of that is GMO.
Right.
Um, so you want to go for like a cleaner animal product, like a grass-fed beef, or a, you know, a organic chicken. Um, and you know, even with the fish, you know, that's a big deal because you know, buy something that's sustainably harvested. Um, you know, some of that, and there's lots of websites you can look at for what to choose. I like to use the app, which is the Monterey Bay Seafood Aquarium, Monterey Bay Seafood Watch, it's called. And you can have that in the grocery store, and you can look up the name of a seafood and see everything about it, you know, whether
Yeah.
it's recommended or not, based on the sustainability and the mercury levels and that
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I have that on my phone. I haven't looked at it though in a while.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you can't always find exactly what they have in the stores, but
Hmm.
um, I always try to go for the wild caught salmon, but I don't use a lot of it because, again, it's, you know, our waters and are being polluted, and we're overfishing, and you know, so plants we can keep growing, right?
Right.
Um, so eggs, I know some people are allergic to eggs, but you know, they're they're good. You know, people always think, oh, well, what about cholesterol? But you know, it doesn't. The dietary cholesterol doesn't lead to high cholesterol in your blood system. It's high cholesterol is from not moving, eating junk food, you know, having high stress. It's not related to like the dietary cholesterol. Like doctors will tell you, like, cut out shrimp and eggs and meat, and you know, your cholesterol will drop. But it's also adding in the lifestyle things and also the vegetables, and
Yeah.
like the broccoli and cauliflower and, you know, Brussels sprouts and bok choy, like the cruciferous vegetables,
Hmm.
are really good for cholesterol. So if you're going to eat eggs, like pasture raised eggs are the best. And if you ever looked at a pasture, I mean, the egg yolk is like bright orange. You know, there's good vitamins and minerals in there.
Hmm.
Foods with healthy fats like avocados, nuts, and seeds. You know, that's a good protein source as well. And beans, you know, lentils are best. A lot of people say, oh, I can't eat beans. It's really, they cause a lot of digestive problems.
They
And
do
if
for
you're
me.
diabetic, you know, that could trigger, you know, if it's a lot of beans or a high portion of beans, it could trigger a spike in your blood sugar. So you know, you want to keep it moderate, like no more than a cup a day of beans. And there's different ways of cooking beans. You know, like if you soak them overnight, or if you add like seaweed, even that helps with the digestion when you're cooking it. You know,
Oh,
so, and if it does hurt your belly, you know, lentils are easy on your belly. So really good source of fiber and protein and minerals. And then last,
mm-hmm.
filtered water.
Ah,
So don't buy plastic water bottles. It's the same water from your tap, you know, basically most of them, a lot of them. You know, we're so worried about our water systems, and a lot of them are really compromised or have a lot of pollutants in them. But read your water reports. You know, your town comes out with them every year, and filter your water. So I have just a regular, you know, carbon Brita filter or whatever
yeah,
brand it is.
so do I. Hmm.
Yeah, and just carry your stainless steel water bottle or your glass water bottle wherever you go. Yeah,
That.
yeah, that's it. So that's my take on what you shouldn't eat or you should avoid or stay away from, and what you should eat, and why. A little bit about why. We didn't go into too much about why, but yeah.
Wow, that was great.
Good. So, if anybody is interested in getting off sugar, they can follow me and get my free sugar cleanse that's coming up. I think it's running about the same time as your program is. So, maybe they don't want to do it at the same time, but thanks for having me, Meryl. This was fun.
Yeah, yeah, no. It was really great. It was really great. I'm sure the people in my program are going to love it.
Good.
And
Great.
yeah. How can people get in touch with you?
I have a website, maryellenzung.com. They can email me at coachmaryellen@outlook.com. Follow me on Facebook, Health Coach Mary Ellen. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Good.
Yeah, so as I said in the beginning when I introduced myself, I'm a transformational coach and I'm running a program that is 30 days to create sustainable discipline to help you kick your unhealthy habits to the curb. And it's really more about the inner work and the reasons why we have the cravings, right? And the reasons why we have these habitual patterns
Oh, yeah.
that are unhealthy for us and how to totally change that. So I wanted to have, even though I know a lot about food and like I've been, kind of, kind of, I don't know what the word
Learning
is.
and testing it out.
No. Like, in between everything that you've been saying, I've been like agreeing and, I try to follow a anti-inflammatory diet of gluten-free, dairy-free and sugar-free and,
Same here.
yeah, and not a lot of alcohol and stuff. And I definitely know I feel so much better when
Yes.
I do that. And I'm human, so sometimes I fall off the boat. But
But the thing about that is like, just don't beat yourself up over it. It's
right,
like, you know what? Like you're 80/20. I love that. Like
yeah,
no one is perfect. And it shouldn't be like a prescription, it should
right,
just be an education and a way of life.
yeah,
And, ooh, that little something at the party looks really good. I'm going to have a taste.
yes, and
And
be okay with that.
right.
Like
And be
I
okay with
know
it.
last week I was at my friend's house and she was offering me wine and she was making shrimp scampi with butter in it. And I said, I'm not doing that
No
tonight.
butter.
Tomorrow night, I want to splurge. So I said, no wine for me. And I said, and I'll take my portion and cook it over here with just the olive oil without the butter and, no big deal. Right. And then the next night I think I went out to dinner with friends and then I had friends back here and splurged on stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and enjoyed it all,
Yeah.
and mad at myself.
Yeah. It's like Mark Bittman's, Mark Bittman, New York Times. He writes about, like this kind of eating, for breakfast and lunch, no animal proteins. And then dinner is like an animal protein and a glass of wine. So that's like his little way of doing it every day. His thing is the 80/20 also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, my name, Meryl Hayton, is everywhere. It's my website, it's my Facebook, it's my YouTube, it's on LinkedIn. I just use my name.
That's great. That's easy. People can find
Everything. Is it easy for me to remember?
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Thanks so much again for having me on.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you.
See you soon. Yep. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye-bye.